Hiya, good evening everyone. It's Mad Duchess here again. Now, it's 4:15 AM UK time on Sunday the 14th of July. And I've just had a really bad dream, or almost a nightmare. And you know when they seem so real that you can't put your finger on them and it disorientates you when you wake up. Well, I woke up to go to the bathroom like I normally do quite a lot, and I'm so disorientated because I was in such a deep sleep, and I was having a birthday party after losing so much weight. Because of my confidence is back and everything else, I'm getting back to being the old me. And I was booking to have a party. I've had this dream before, but it was about actually Fiona and Wally. And I don't know if I've ever spoken about Wally or Fiona before. Fiona is avid gardener, and Wally is Yankee Wally. And I'm quite close to both of them. And I'll do the second dream first, and then the one I had a few months ago, because it had them in it. Scenario: I thrown myself a party. All of my family have turned up, lots of friends. It was a great big turnout. I was so happy, and when you have a party, you have a DJ and you have the music loud, so you all have to shout at each other. There was my family there was lots of friends there, people that I hadn't seen for years, because of me having to move around from my hometown due to me being homeless for 6 years. Well, I was homeless for 6 years in total. I wasn't actually homeless I was sofa surfing for 2 to 3 years of that. And then they moved me to a different area away from my friends, my family and everything, where I knew absolutely nobody, not one person. And I was so scared. But I got through it. I didn't think I could get through it. Let me put my glasses on because the light gives me a headache, especially at the night time. And I booked myself a party. Losing nearly 7 stone is a great achievement. It was my birthday, by the way, so it wasn't just a party for no reason. I booked a hall in a pub, I think, and I'd done everything proper, and lots of people turned up. We had sorry about the squeaking, that was my drawer, because I think I've broken my computer, but that's another story for another day. I was having a party, everyone turned up, the DJ was great, music was on. There was an issue, the fact that me and my sister didn't do a lot of buffet food. We did a few finger bits. We didn't do like a full spread because, one, both me and her are gastric sleeve patients, so we don't eat a lot anyway. So my stance on it is I'm not going to pay hundreds of pounds for a buffet for food that I am hardly going to eat, because my stomach, I've had 70% of my stomach taken away. It may be selfish view, but if I did have a party, I'd just do a few spread, like picky bits. I wouldn't do a proper like spread, because I did it once for my brother's 21st birthday party, and I was up all night because I only had 2 shelves in my oven, cooking everything. My dad was making sandwiches. I remember it was awful, absolutely awful. I was up all night doing that, and I was still making sandwiches, literally doing stuff the following day, because the oven was taking so long and I was doing it all on my own. My dad was trying to help where he could. He was up all night as well. Then the day of the party, I was still rushing around and doing things that much because I wanted everything to be perfect for my brother. And he literally, I was setting up the food in the hall, and I was putting the bunting up because it was his 21st and guests were arriving. And then what happened was, I then waited for my dad. My dad turned up and he was in his slippers, bless him, because he'd hired a coach for my brother's football teammates. Because my brother plays football. He's disabled, so he plays in disability football. Even though he's now 31, when he was 21, he was playing disability football like he's doing now. So he's got a lot of teammates. So my dad's put this coach, like minibus type thing, to transport everybody. And then my dad also had paid for hotel rooms for everybody. So literally, as I was getting ready to go, I've cut literally my top. I was only size 14 then, actually. I'd lost quite a bit of weight because my weight always has gone up and down. It's never stayed the same, but I've never been as big as what I was last year. And I had all like juice down my top from the tuna, from where I made tuna and mayonnaise sandwiches. I mixed it all up. My dad made the sandwiches. And then I had all oil down my top, and I had a pair of jeans on. I was only a size 14 then, so I wasn't that big, but I was classed as chunky because I'm only 5'2". So me and my dad then went back to my flat. He had a shower, and then I said to him, I'm going to jump in the shower, you go back to the party, Dad, and I'll get a taxi down there, because it was only £3 or £4 at that point. Because bearing in mind, my brother's now 31, so this was 10 years ago. So we've gone back. So that's then happened. But we've all had, my brother particularly had an excellent time, and that was the whole point of the 21st birthday party. He's 21. You celebrate it. Boom, boom. Right. Now, getting back to my nightmare, I just need a squeeze some water. Sorry, I do apologise. If you hear any squeaking, it's from the chair because it needs WD-40 from where I was a size 30, and this chair didn't, I think it only went up to 150 kg, and I was a lot over that when I first started this journey. So I'm surprised it's only just squeaking, if I'm honest. So then, getting back to my dream last night. So everything was going great, but the guests, particularly my aunt, I don't know why my aunt would complain about it, because she complained that there wasn't enough buffet food for everyone. And I turned around and I said, if you'd have messaged me, I would have told you we're not doing a big spread, so it's probably best to have something before you come. And she went, I tried to get in touch with your sister and all this, and she wasn't answering her phone. And I said, but you didn't ask me, and it was my party. I said, and that's the issue I've got with you. I said, you and your moaning, because guests were leaving, and I was getting all panicking. My anxiety was going high and everything else because of her constant moaning. And I was frightened that people were leaving. And I was like begging people to stay. I said, look, I'll kick her out. Like, and she, bearing in mind, she's my mum's sister. She's not like young. And I was going, like, I'll kick her out. Don't worry. And and she, because I was desperate to keep my friends, and I was desperate to have that validation that. And that's just about my own insecurities and my own fears. And then people were leaving. Then the DJ stopped playing music because one of my one of my family complained about how loud it was, so he stopped playing the music and he said, I need a playlist. And I was like, why do you need a playlist? You're a DJ, mate. Make it up as you go along like everybody else does. And long story short, people were leaving. I was panicking. I was blaming my aunt, and my aunt was blaming me. And then I found myself back at home on my own because I thought, I can't handle everybody leaving. I can't handle I can't handle me knowing that I'm not a success at something. I'm a perfectionist. I've got an OCD. And in my mind, I will worry myself until I'm unwell at the thought that I'm not liked, that people don't want to be my friend. And it's just one of my own insecurities that I've had to deal with, but I am aware of it. But it's just so funny that it's coming out in my dreams because so everybody was leaving, and it's about my insecurity of being constantly left by people. And I live alone, and I have done. I lived in supported housing for 4 years, until I moved for 3 to 4 years. But I've lived in this place. This is my own home, and nobody can take it away from me unless I mess it up myself. So this is social housing, they call it. When you're unwell medically and you can't work. I couldn't work because I was homeless, living in night shelters anyway. And then, sorry about that. Let me pause that. Turn that to silent. Sorry about that. I've got a second phone, and normally it's in the light. It's on the side, but because I've taken some advice from a friend, I've turned the fan off. I've not got no background noise. The only background noise is from my fridge freezer and me. So I've had an insecurity about not having friends, not being popular, not being enough for people. And because I think it's heightened over the last month or so, because I'm now a bit more confident. I want to start making YouTube videos. I want to start going live on TikTok. I want to start doing this. I want to start doing that. This is stuff that I've been wanting to do for the past, it's got to be, ever since I started watching Yankee Wally on YouTube. And ever since I found her, and according to Taz actually, and Murky Meg, them three, and Danger Zone, them four actually, they were the beginners. And then after Wally kept saying, join Twitter. I had a dormant Twitter account that had been dormant for like 10 years. And then once I needed to come up with a proper name for myself. And once I'd listened to enough of Yankee Wally videos, she used to talk about somebody called Benjamin Smallbrook from Quora. And and he actually come up with, she will always be known as the Mad Duchess, talking about Meghan Markle. And I thought, the Mad Duchess, that's quite a fitting name. Because everybody has their, if you want to have some level, I don't have a problem with people knowing my name. I don't have a problem with people knowing where I'm from, whatever. Purely and simply because I had noticed that with the Sussex squad and the trolley and everything else, you have to tend to be, it's like a stage name. But my stage name, I decided, was going to be the Mad Duchess. And I had, and my profile picture, which was on all of my accounts, was a picture of Omi Scobie's head. It was like a Photoshop one. Omi Scobie's head on a plastic doll. Naked plastic doll, but with Omi Scobie's head on it. that was my signature, my signature profile picture. And the amount of people over the last 7 years have said, your profile picture cracks me up. I said, thank you. I said, plastic Kindle. And because we have, I don't know if you have them in the rest of the world, we have Barbie and Ken in the UK. And I had loads of Barbies when I was younger. I even had a Kindle, I think. And I call people that have had excessive amounts of work done. I don't have a problem with anybody having work done to better themselves or to better their health or to help with their mental health, self-confidence, etc. Blah, blah, blah. But then some people get like a taste for it. And, excuse me, they get a taste for it and then they can't stop getting procedures done. Like, I've always wanted a nose job because I've had my nose broken 6 times. So I need a nose job. I need a rhinoplasty. But each time I had my nose broken, I didn't go to the hospital. So I didn't ever have it reset. So it's set wonky now and it affects my breathing. Always has done. Has done for years. I get nosebleeds, I've had nasal polyps. But I've also been to the doctors about trying to get a nose job on the NHS. And I've been to see the ENT clinic 3 times. The first time was when I lived back in my old place. Twice I've been here, and he turned around and the bloke here said to me, we don't do cosmetic procedures. I said, it's not a cosmetic procedure. I am a victim of domestic violence. I've had my nose broken 6 times and it's affecting my breathing and my health. It's not a cosmetic procedure. And he went, oh, you've got nasal polyps, I'll give you drops and we'll see you in 3 months. That was the last appointment. And after that, guess what happened? COVID. COVID struck. I've been living in the area I am for about 3 years when COVID first hit in Wuhan. And then you was waiting for it to go to other parts of the world. And I remember sitting in the sheltered housing that I lived in for homeless people, thinking, my God, how awful is this? And never seen anything like it when they was locking people in, boarding up their doors so that they couldn't come out and things like that. Wuhan dealt with it like how the rest of the world should have, really, I think. But obviously they also created the virus. So please, anti-vaxxers, anti-virus and all that, please don't come at me. I'm not saying I know everything, but I'm just giving my opinion on it. And I was thinking, my God, what happens if it comes over here? And surely enough, it was inevitable. It come to the UK. And then we went through the first lockdown. And I remember seeing all the other residents getting out their nuts on drink and drugs, and me sitting there hiding in my bedroom because I had my bedroom and it was a bedsit type, but it was in a house with lots of other rooms. So there was other residents. I think there was 13 in my block, in my house, 13 residents, and I had one of the biggest and best rooms. I started off in a tiny room downstairs, but then they moved me upstairs once I'd proven myself. And then I remember seeing them all sitting in the garden. Because what it was the rule in the house was you could drink in your bedroom, but you couldn't drink alcohol in communal areas. So how people used to get around it was sports bottles, because the place had 24-hour CCTV all around. Not inside, but outside they had. for security. And if you was caught, and there were 2 move-on houses close by as well, and if you was caught drinking, if you was caught drinking in the communal areas, you could potentially get a warning. Now, this was the second hostel I went to for homelessness. And I remember looking out my bedroom window, because I had 2 windows, one in the kitchen and one in the bedroom. So one facing one wall and one facing the other. And I used to, being as big as I am, I mean, I've got that sweating problem as well. I used to find, and with the breathing, I used to feel like I was having an asthma attack. I couldn't breathe. It was awful. Just getting dressed was like that. It was bad. I used to have to get dressed and sit down for 15 minutes and catch my breath before I did anything else. And I remember looking out the window and looking at them all, because they used to use sports bottles. They'd put the main drink, like, so they'd buy a 3 litre bottle of Frosted Jack or whatever, like the strong cider, and they'd keep it in the carrier bag, the main carrier bag, because there was a co-op down the road from, and so they'd keep it in the co-op carrier bag, but then pour it into a regular glass. So you could say, oh, it's apple juice. Oh, it's juice. Oh, whatever. You could hide it. And that's how they all was getting away with drinking in the communal areas. And I remember one day I was looking out the window, and there was a few of them, because you was allowed to commune in the communal areas even when you was on lockdown. You was allowed to go outside once a day. So I did garden mindfulness out there. Thinking outside the box. To try and help with everybody's mental health, I used to do garden mindfulness at 10 a.m. every morning in the very first UK lockdown. Sometimes it was freezing, if I'm honest, because it was 10 a.m. and it was, I think it was February to May was the first lockdown, I think something like that. And so it wasn't particularly warm at 10 a.m. in the morning, but in the afternoon I'd see the rest of the residents out in the garden drinking, getting drunk. And I'm thinking, I felt like I've got FOMO, fear of missing out, because I'm trying to sit there and be good, but I'm watching everybody else enjoying themselves, having a great time, while making the best of a bad situation. And then I come to the conclusion that if you can't beat them, join them. So I went down and joined them, and I started drinking again with them all. And because I wasn't meant to be drinking, to be honest with you, excuse me, I'm going to move. The first hostel I was in, they forced me to go to rehab. They told me I was an alcoholic. I'm still not 100% sure that they are correct, but I'm still not. I don't know enough about it to. Well, I do know enough about it. I don't think I'm a binge drinker. I'm not an alcoholic. But I used to be able to hold my drink a lot better before my gastric sleeve, actually. I'm a lightweight now, big time. So you join them. So if you can't beat them, join them. So I joined them, and I actually had quite a good time. And it was lockdown. You're not meant to have a good time. You're forced to stay away from other people. You can't socialise. But because there was 13 people and 2 houses next door, each had 4 rooms with 4 residents. I think 4 residents, yeah. So there was 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 people that you could, if you went to the communal area, you could all socialise. You could go into the main house at any time because there were support workers in there constantly. Yes, you had to talk to them through the door, or you had to have telephone consultations with them, but they couldn't legally stop us from using the communal areas. But if we was outside, the rules were if we was outside in a communal area, they were okay with it. So we all used to sit in the garden quite a lot. We had a lot of decent garden furniture in there. We were doing like a gardening competition as well at the time, and it was quite a nice time. Apart from, but then the realisation of I knew that I had a council flat, housing association, social housing. I knew I had this flat waiting for me, but I couldn't view it because we was in the middle of a lockdown. So I knew that was pending, so my anxiety was still high anyway. So literally, and I enjoyed that time. But then the day before they eased the restrictions from the very first lockdown, I got a telephone call from my housing manager wanting to book a viewing, and for the following day. So I thought, oh, that's a bit short notice. So I booked it and everything else. I booked it for 1 p.m. So I thought I can get up early, go and find it. I know I can get the bus to the hospital and walk from the hospital. There was a bus stop before the hospital that I didn't know about because I'd not lived up this way before. I can get the bus there. I can find the place, give myself an hour to find the place so that I'm not anxious, stressed out and sweating, so that I'm mentally prepared. So I've done all that, got there, couldn't find the place because my place was an actual new flat. It wasn't listed on Google's maps, my postcode with my number of my address, because my address didn't exist a year before that. So they hadn't updated Google Maps. So I remember Google Maps took me to totally the wrong place in my road, but you can get to my road, and it was like sunny, and I'm sweating, and I can't breathe, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I want the ground to swallow me whole, because I want to die. Couldn't find the number of the flat anywhere, and then when I actually did find it, it was actually round the back. I wasn't round the front. I'd found the flat, but I was in the wrong place to meet the manager. And then, so I sat on some steps because there was steps there. So I sat there and I thought, calm yourself down. It's okay. You're here. You've got 15 minutes before you've got to view the place. Everything's going to be all right. And then after a while, I got a phone call saying, like, where are you? And I said, well, I'm sitting outside. And he went, I can't see you. And I said, is there another entrance to the property? He went, yeah, you've got to walk through this little walk-through thing. So I went, hang on a minute, I'm going to walk round then and I'll meet you. And I thought, oh God, I've got to walk all the way round again. So I've walked round and huffing and puffing, and then I've met up with him, and I've come in. I'm nowhere over like my flat. I fell in love with it the first time I saw it. I was like, oh my God, it was bare. There was absolutely nothing in it, nothing at all. Because I had no appliances, nothing. I think I had a microwave in my old place. That was it. That's all I had. I had no cooker, no settee, nothing at all. No furniture, because I was living in shelters. You couldn't have furniture, but because I'd known about the flat for so long, I'd managed to save up £500 for moving and second-hand white goods or whatever. But it just so happens that I was seeing like a therapist lady who was ringing me up to make sure I was all right. and she found a charity in my local area that helped with people, families and people that were homeless with white goods. They call them white goods in the UK, which is your appliances, cooker, fridge, freezer, washing machine, and that. But help you out with that, and it was a church charity. So she contacted her and spoke to her, and then said to her she needs, and I then gave the woman a list of everything I needed. And I'm not joking, no word of a lie. It just so happens there must have been somebody watching over me, God, whoever. Somebody watching over me, because she didn't normally stock the settees. And she managed to get hold of a 2-seater leather, black leather settee as well. So I got everything. I got a cooker, I got a tumble dryer and washing machine, I got a fridge freezer, I got a double bed, I got a wardrobe, I got a set of chest of drawers, I got a makeshift, it was like a bedside cabinet, but it wasn't a proper bedside cabinet. I've still got a lot of the furniture. I've got a table that I used to use as a computer desk. I've changed that now because I've got a proper computer desk that I've bought new. But I still use the other one. Literally, TV stand. She even did me like a food package and like a kitchen package, where she gave me a broom, a dustpan and brush, some tea towels. I said I've got cutlery. I said I don't need cutlery. I didn't take what I didn't need. I said I've got cutlery, I've got plates, I've got cups, I've got glasses, I've got everything, like things like that. I've got a set of pots and pans. I don't need them. So I wasn't taking the mick, but I gave her a list of everything I needed. And then, when she came to deliver it all, they even put it all together for me. Curtain poles, for one. Net curtains, they sorted out for me. But I wasn't allowed, because of the restrictions. While they was in my property, the rule was you could they could come into the property, but I couldn't actually live there at the time. Once I lived there, they wasn't allowed to come in. So, but there was an overlap between moving out of the other property and moving into this one, where the council would pay both rents, because I was on benefits. Council would pay both rents for the first 4 weeks. So I had a little bit of overlap. But in the other place, you wasn't meant to stay there over the night time. But because I wanted everything to be perfect, this was my first home that I've lived on my own in. I wanted everything to be perfect. I used to go backwards and forwards with like my granny trolley, I call it, with stuff on the bus. I was getting daily bus passes, and then because it used to take me 2 buses each journey from where I was living before to where I am now. So I used to fill up my granny trolley, like as I was packing up everything, fill up my granny trolley, fill it, and then take a load over. So I was already bringing stuff over myself, like toiletries, things like that, things that I could carry. And then literally she gave me all of my appliances and big goods that I needed. So I could have moved in if I wanted to, but I had to still pack up the other place and make sure that, because you have to also clean you don't have to, but I've got an OCD with cleaning. I couldn't leave it messy for the cleaner. But they have a cleaner that goes in every day. I couldn't leave it for, her name was Dara, actually. And I couldn't leave it for Dara because I prided myself on being clean and tidy. So I remember the first couple of weeks I was coming home, going back to the night shelter every day, going back to the shelter every day and sleeping there, but not telling them I was sleeping there. They knew I was. It was like they allowed me to do it, but they didn't allow me to do it. If I got caught, I would have been in trouble for it. But I think they kind of understood. I was one of the only people that was in that position where I was forced to move out, and the restrictions were still quite high. But anyway, long story short, so that was that. And I remember the first night I thought, I'm going to stay in the new place tonight. I want to spend my first, because I couldn't be in the flat. So when they came in to put the bed together, put the curtain poles up, blah blah blah, blah blah, I had to sit on the stairs in the hallway, in the communal hallway. I couldn't actually be in the flat with these charity people. So I was sitting. I first spent a few nights here. And then I got a phone call from my brother or something. I remember I was getting an Iceland delivery the following day. And my brother rang me up and he said he was suffering with his mental health and he felt suicidal. I mean, hang on a minute, bro. Give me half an hour, because I need to go out quickly. I need to get some shopping, and I'll be back. And I'll speak to you then. Give me 2 minutes. So, but what I did was I went out and I bought alcohol because I knew that what the conversation was going to be mentally challenging and mentally draining for me. So I bought alcohol. So I come back and I sorted him out. He was okay. I said, we'll take you to the doctors, we'll do whatever it takes to get you better. All the while I didn't realise that by sorting out his mental health, I was crashing and burning with my own then. And then, so I was drinking. And then I put some washing in the washing machine, and the washing machine started leaking. And that was it, because I didn't know who to turn to then. The world was over. So I was like, I was about a week and a half into the month, with the changeover, like from one property to the other. And so I rang my support worker at my old housing place. I said, my washing machine's leaking. What am I going to do? She said, you're going to have to get somebody out to repair it. I went, I can't afford to get somebody out to repair it. Even though I had that £500 spare, that £500 was going to be to move the bulk of the rest of the stuff that I couldn't move within the granny trolleys. Like man with a van or whatever. And so that was what I earmarked the money for. And I went, I can't do that. I haven't got the money. And I was getting really stressed out. My dad's a plumber. I could have called my dad, but my dad lived in Kent. So with the restrictions, you weren't allowed to travel from county to county. So, and I wouldn't have contacted him and risked him getting a COVID fine. So I was getting so stressed out, and then I was drinking because I couldn't cope and I didn't know what to do. And then I don't know what it was. I thought, I was on a lot more medication than what I am now. And I thought, I don't know why, but I was that drunk. I thought, let's start taking some tablets. I don't know what the thought process was. And then I took a big overdose, and I mean a big one, to the point where, but I didn't want to die. And I called the ambulance, but I don't remember calling the ambulance. I was that out of it. I'd drunk that much and taken that much medication that I don't know what I was doing. But apparently, this is from what I was told at the hospital when I woke up. The ambulance crew wanted me to put on a hospital gown, and I didn't want them to cut my I had some Mickey Mouse pyjamas from Primark, from Bottoms, and I loved them, absolutely loved them. They're too big for me now, I might add. Loved them. Used to go out shopping in them with a pair of, like the pull-on boots. Used to go out shopping in town with them, and nobody bats an eyelid. I didn't want to cut them because I loved them and I wore them all the time. So I actually took them off, and they cut my top. But I put the top in a carrier bag, even though I couldn't wear it. In a carrier bag, so that I could put this hospital gown on, which was too tight for me anyway. It didn't fit me properly, because I've got quite big arms as well. They're still big with the loose skin. And something's happened, and they've had to intubate me, put me on a ventilator. And I think I might have died. Although they're not going to tell me, you died, because I was in a bit of a fragile state. I think I died. And they had to intubate me, put me on a ventilator and keep me alive. Even though the hospital was just across the road from where I live. And so I've just moved into this flat, all of my new neighbours, and they're seeing me, someone, well not me, they're seeing someone wheeled out by ambulance. And I don't remember none of this. This is what I've found out from people that do live here. And they have told me in the past, and because I'm making friends here. So, wheeled me out, took me to hospital, put me in ICU because they didn't know if I had COVID or not. And, well, I think they took me to the resus first and stabilised me. And then they took me, then I woke up 24 hours later choking on a ventilator tube. Now, I still have PTSD from that, because that was horrific. I didn't have a clue where I was. I didn't know what was going on, and I was choking on a tube. And it felt like forever for them to take that tube out my throat. My throat was so dry through the drink, because it dehydrates you, the lack of water, because I'd been ventilated for 24 hours. I was on a drip. And literally, after they took it all out, I'm looking at my body. I looked like a bloody pin cushion. They couldn't find veins. They tried my feet. They tried my legs. They tried my hands. And I had something in my arm, or my hand, one of my arms. Oh no, it was my wrist. I remember my wrist. I had something in my wrist and something in my neck So they had to go in to a main artery to be able to give me the morphine, and they said I was low on the morphine, the water, and there was something else they was giving me intravenously. Morphine, water, and it's a vitamin, and I was severely low in it. I think you can get it from bananas. I can't remember what it was. I can't remember the name of the vitamin off my head. And I had to have a drip of that as well. And then obviously I woke up and I didn't know what was going on. I said, who have you spoken to? That's the first thing I was like, who have you spoken to? Who knows about this? Is it my brother or is it my sister? Because I'm thinking, God, which one of them? They're probably going out of their mind. They were, we've spoken to your sister. And I was like, oh, thank fuck for that. Because my sister's the older one. She's older than me. But I was still anxious because I had no phone. And at the time, I didn't smoke, but I vaped. I didn't have my vape. I mean, obviously, they're not going to let you vape in the intensive care department either. So, I didn't have my phone, didn't have my vape. I could see my keys on the nurse's desk in front of me. Because during COVID, you had like one-to-one nurses because of contamination. And I didn't, after this, I didn't know this, but I was in a room, cornered off at the end of the intensive care department. So I'm panicking and I'm thinking, and all I keep doing is crying and asking for water. And rather than, they let me have a tablet that I could use, but I had a headache and I couldn't use it. And I remember just thinking, I've got to get out of here. I've got to get to my phone. I need a vape. I said, my shopping's coming today. It was due to, because I'd been in there for 24 hours. My shopping was due they tried to deliver my shopping the day before, but I didn't know it had gone on for so long. And I was like, I've got to get out of here. That's my first fault. I've got to get out of here. But they didn't want me to leave without a mental health assessment. And I've had mental health, I was sectioned, so I know how it all works with the mental health team and everything. You have to have I hadn't had the mental health team come round yet. And I should imagine the mental health team was stretched throughout, because bearing in mind it was like 2 weeks after the restrictions eased of the first lockdown. So we were still new in COVID, and I'm thinking, shit, I'm so embarrassed, I've got to get out of here. I really have got to get out of here. This bed could be used by somebody who's got COVID who really needs the ventilator. I don't need it. And I convinced myself I've got to get out. And then I said, I need to go home. I said, I can't stay here. They went, you can't go home. Do you know what you've just done? I went, yeah, this isn't my first rodeo. And I'm talking to him as if I know everything. But I really didn't realise how bad this one was. And I remember it getting to about 8:30, 9 o'clock, because it's starting to get dark. And I was like, I need to get out of here. I've got to get out. I've got to get home. And as long as I could see my front door keys, I was all right. That's what they said. When they did staff handover, I could hear what they were saying. And outside they was going, they said, basically this one, what she does is, every time she doesn't get her own way, she cries. And then the monitors start going up, she start beeping, and all that. And then they have to come in, and every time she doesn't get her own way, she cries. But I was scared, I was scared, I was disorientated, I was embarrassed, I didn't want to be there, and I thought, oh my God, what have you done? I need to get home, I need to find my phone, I need to speak to my sister, I need to tell her I'm okay, that it's okay, because she said, because like 1 minute my sister knows that I'm moving into my own flat and everything is great, and the next thing she knows, she gets a phone call from the hospital that I'm on a ventilator in intensive care. So I bet her mind was fucking racing with intrusive, constantly thinking of other people rather than what I needed. So I was like, I've got to get out of here. And I didn't have a top because they'd cut it, and I brought that with me. I don't know why I brought a cut top with me. And why the ambulance crew let me do that. The logic in that was a bit mad. And then I had a big bunch of keys that had every key on, because it was a new build. It came with brand new keys, 3 of everything. So, and I hadn't separated the keys. I was just using the big bunch and taking and I had the whole lot of keys because they didn't know which key was for what door, and I obviously didn't have a clue either at the time. So they took every key that I had, so when I was discharged I could get back into my property. But as long as I could see the keys, I was alright. If I couldn't see the keys, I got upset again. And I had a headache, and I said to them, I remember keep telling them, I said, that's morphine that's going into my neck. And they said, not sodium bicarbonate, it begins with an S. I can't remember what one it is. They said you was low on it, and it's meant to be in bananas, meant to have a lot of it in bananas, and my levels was so low I had to have it in a drip. I went, that's morphine you're giving me. I went, I'm an addict, right? So I've started freaking out because I can feel the pain relief going through my neck, and it's going, whoa. But that wasn't helping with the mental health, because I'm thinking, I need to be in control. I'm a control freak, as you might have noticed. I need to be in control, and I'm not in control. I said, I'm an addict. I can't have morphine. I said, I've been to rehab and everything. I can't have morphine. Why are you giving me morphine? I can't have it. But looking back, they were just giving me it to shut me up because of I was shouting and I was getting upset, and I was in the middle of a department where there were patients that were very, very sick. I was in the worst department, so, but they didn't understand the mental health side of it. They were just, oh my God, she's got drunk, she's taken an overdose, she's almost killed herself. While we're sitting here risking our lives to save other people, she's tried to take her own life. I was like, oh, I'm so embarrassed, I need to get out of here. And literally, it was starting to get dark. I'm thinking, I've got to get out of here before it gets dark, so that I know the way home, basically. So what? They dragged it out as long as they could, and then the doctor came around and he said, we are advising you not to discharge yourself. I went, yes, I understand that. And he was like, but we can't stop you from discharging yourself. I went, where do I sign? And then I signed it and everything else, and he went, the nurse will help you. Because what they did was, I said, what size shoe are you? Because I had no shoes. And all I had was this pair of Mickey Mouse pyjama bottoms. So they let me come home wearing the hospital gown with the pyjama bottoms on. And one of the nurses actually went to her car and she had a pair of trainers, and I remember they were Skechers. She let me use them so I could go home. And he went, we're advising you medically that you're not medically fit to go home. I went, I understand that. So I signed and everything else, and this nurse that took out like the thing in my neck and the one in my wrist as well. She helped me on with my shoes and she was talking to me. But at first she went, "You're just going to go out and drink again." I went, "This isn't," and as I said, I went, "This isn't my first rodeo. This isn't the first time I've done this." I said, "I need to go home. Trust me, I need to." She went, "You're just going to go out and buy more drink." But I wasn't even thinking about drinking then. I was thinking, fucking hell, what have I done? And I couldn't even bend over to put do the shoelaces up on these shoes. And as I stood up and started walking, I'm like hobbling. But at the time, I didn't realise the thing in my neck. The nurse had left stitches in my neck. And I looked like I had, I think it was on this, no, it was on this side, because I lay on that side. It was on this side. I looked like I had 2 vampire bites in my neck. But I think it was about here. But obviously my face was bigger then. And I remember standing up and starting to walk, and I'm thinking, whoa, okay, this is hard. And the doctor, and I had my big bunch of keys in my hand. I had nothing else, my carrier bag with my broken top in. And I'm thinking, I just got to get home, I need a vape. And I need to have something to eat. And I need a drink, because not alcohol, I needed a soft drink because my throat was so sore from that ventilation tube. And no matter how many times I asked for water, it wasn't quenching the thirst. And I actually felt like such a pain because I was asking for water constantly. I was so needy, it was unreal. And they said they'd advise against it, but blah, blah, blah. But it was all down to the mental health assessment. I hadn't had that yet. But I thought I knew me better than anyone, when really in hindsight I wasn't well enough to discharge myself. I should have stayed in hospital and got the proper help that I needed there and then. And I remember literally the hospital is 5 minutes walk from where my flat is. And that journey was one of the hardest journeys ever. I remember it so vividly. Walking back, I had to hold on to the side of the hospital wall, and I had to sit down because I really was unwell still. I was on a come down from all the tablets that I'd taken, all the drink that I'd done, and everything else. I'd had a catheter inside me because I'd been asleep for 24 hours. I had a catheter inside me that they had to empty twice when I was awake because of the amount of fluids. It was like a big bag down by the side of the bed. It was. But they said to me, "You don't have COVID." I went, "Oh, that's great." But I remember hearing the guy next door to me in the cubicle next to me. He was FaceTiming his wife, and he was like, I think he was an old boy or an elderly boy. I can't remember, but I remember hearing him saying, "I've been in here for a month. I'm so sick and tired of being in here, and I can't do this anymore. I hate being here." I'm thinking, like, fuck, am I going to stay in here for a month? 24 hours, and I'm chomping at the bit to get out. Because I've obviously the nicotine withdrawal as well. Because I vape with nicotine. I had a nicotine addiction as well. I had multiple addictions. I've got an addictive personality. So then I discharged myself, and as I'm walking home, I'm thinking, wow, just need to get home. Once you're home, you're all right. I just need to get home. And once you're home, you're all right. And it was all and as soon as I walked into this flat, I was like, I need a drink and I need something to eat. but I don't have the energy to cook myself something, and I need to find my phone. My phone was on the floor, so the battery was dead and my phone was on the floor. So I picked it up, put it on charge, and then ordered a Just Eat delivery takeaway. I think I had burger and chips, I can't remember what it was, something like that. So I ordered that, and I ate that, and then I said, everything's going to be all right now. But it wasn't. I was sat. I know this video is about an hour long, and now I've started. I've got to finish the story, and so the following day I found out reorganised to have my Iceland delivery. So I had groceries, food and that. Because with Iceland you get the same day, next day delivery, but because they tried to deliver and I wasn't here, they fitted me in for that day, so I was grateful for that. So but then I was told that I was going to be called by the mental health team because that was what I didn't do. I didn't have the mental health assessment. And I literally was that unwell that I slept on and off for almost 2 weeks. I had an initial mental health assessment. They then told me, yep, that's great, but I think you've got borderline personality disorder. I think you've been misdiagnosed. I was like, I've always thought that there was something else wrong rather than just anxiety and depression. And we'll get it sorted. And then they said you have to have a telephone assessment. We're not doing no face-to-face consultations. So I had the telephone assessment and I was a bit brighter. And they said, oh, we're referring you to another thing. And it was CBT therapy, cognitive behavioural therapy. Now, I had cognitive behavioural therapy back in the last hostel that I was living in. And I was referred because of my anxiety. And I was also discharged because of my anxiety. My anxiety is... sometimes I get the intrusive thoughts in my head. It's like, and I never know if I'm going to get them. I never know if I'm going to be up all night because I've got insomnia as well. And if I'm up all night, my mind races. If I've got an appointment, i.e. a doctor's appointment, something important, I generally will not sleep. And I was having the CBT therapy, but every now and then I had to miss appointments. And because I missed the appointment, instead of cancelling it, my anxiety was that bad, I just shut down. And a couple of times I didn't gel with a therapist. We didn't gel. So it wasn't working. And so I was referred for the issues. I was also discharged, the same issues. It didn't work for me. And then I got a text message from this guy, and his name was Chan. And I remember thinking, oh my God, I'm back to square one again. And so I started drinking again. And then I got drunk. And then I said to him, if I end up dead, you will have my death on your conscience. I sent him that text message because I was drunk. And because I knew that whatever the therapy was with him, it wasn't going to work again. So I got them referred back to the mental health team. The proper mental health team, I think. And they then contacted me, and then I started having weekly phone calls with a mental health nurse. I can't remember what her name. I think her name was Jo. But she also had my sister's number. because my sister was my next of kin. She also had my sister's number as well. So if I stopped, if I didn't answer the phone to her, she would ring my sister. And then me worrying my sister worried me that much that I stopped ignoring the phone calls. Because then I'd get a phone call from my sister saying, Annie, what the fuck's going on? What the fuck's going on? You're not answering the phone to Joe, and she can't help you if you don't answer the phone to her. And then my sister then started threatening to come over and stay with me for a few days. And I was like, I can't have her do that. She's working. But then I think we went into yet another lockdown, so she wouldn't have been able to anyway. So she, it went on like that. And she was ringing me for 6 months, every week for 6 months. But due to the insomnia and the anxiety and the overdose and how severe it was, my GP refused to prescribe me any medicines that had sedatives in. He said, I'm not happy to do that at all. But I needed the sedatives to sleep. And it was just like a vicious circle. I wasn't sleeping, but that was making the mental health worse. And that's how I got obsessed, I would say obsessed, with, according to Taz's videos and Yankee Wally's videos. Because if I couldn't sleep, I'd watch Wally or I'd watch Taz. Now, this was in 2020. So Meghan Markle had been pure on the scene for ages. Although I was following Wally and Taz when I was in the hostel, I wasn't like as fanatical about me. And then I'd be listening to Wally, and I had 2 playlists on my YouTube where I'd favourite Yankee Wally videos and favourite according to Taz videos, and there was loads, hundreds. The Taz one's still full because Wally lost her original channel. That's why I'm one of Wally's biggest cheerleaders as well. Because it didn't just affect Wally's mental health when she lost her channel, it affected mine. And to wake up one day and not have any videos there to watch. So then she went over to Rumble. So I thought, thank God for that. I can still keep in touch. And by this point, me and Wally were personal friends. We wasn't just like social media friends. I had a number. We messaged back and forth, and we started a genuine friendship. And I was like, I can't deal with this. I was as gutted for her as she was, because I was like, this is going to tip me over the edge. This is, but she went over to Rumble, so I was watching her there, sharing every video that she banged up as she calls it, bang that one up. Every video she uploaded, I shared. I watched her videos over and over and over and over again. I still watch them over and over and over again because her Rumble channel was still there. I had, every time she's lost a YouTube channel, I've been able to watch her videos on Rumble, the old ones. So the last video she made on Rumble was 2 years ago. But there's one video on there that's an hour and a half long, and that's the one that I use to go to sleep with. Because I've heard it that many times, I know it word for word. That's the one I play normally on repeat when I want to go to sleep in my bedroom. But sometimes I mix it up and I play other ones. But I do like the current videos that she posts. So so she lost the first channel, absolutely devastated. She then made another channel, and then that Sarah Date or whatever her name is, she got that one taken down. And I was gutted again. It was like losing a part of me, because I was stuck in this flat. I was all on my own, and the only thing that took me outside of my own head was listening to Wally and Taz's. And then by this point, Megan's Mole came on YouTube. You had people like Queen Gertie. There was I think there was another one called Katie Elliott, and she was making videos. I've never really watched Lady C. I don't know why. I know she's a very clever lady, but the ones I related to most was Taz and Wally, because Taz got trolled about her weight quite a lot, and Wally's had a bit of a checkered past, and so have I had a bit of a checkered past. I'm not ashamed of my past, but it has been checkered. I'm not Snow White. And they both kept me alive. I fully believe that they kept me alive. Well, both of them in particular, but then Megan's Mole and the others come on the scene, and I was hooked, totally hooked. But I remember having this Twitter account. Now, this Twitter account I've had for a good 15 years now, and it was my own personal account that I started out, but now it's called Mad Duchess. And regardless of my views on Meghan and Harry, because they both disgust me, the way they've treated the royal family and the way they've treated their own families for money makes me feel sick. I'm going to wrap this up because it's over an hour long. Sorry, I don't want to bore you all, but this is just like a little bit about me. But I fully believe, and I still believe 4 years later, Taz and Wally kept me alive. Taz in particular and Wally. Well, not in particular, both of them. Taz and Wally kept me alive. Murky Meg, I used to watch a lot as well. I liked her videos. But then Murky had health issues, I think. And then Taz then started up that new channel with that M's. What a mistake that was. And then, but I didn't like that M's. I never did. I don't know why though. I just couldn't put my finger on it. She didn't pass my sniff test. And if there was ever a situation where Taz couldn't make a video with her, she would either make one on her own, or she would make one with her son Kyle. And I actually found her videos boring. And she didn't appeal to me whatsoever. However, when they did the double act and Taz was with her, I used to watch every video. I think it was called Taz and M's Let's Talk. I think that's what it was called in the beginning. And I watched them and I emailed them, like interacted with them, because Em said she was a therapist. I thought, that's great. Free therapy. I need to understand my own mind. I've never understood my mental health, and it can confuse me a lot. I thought, great. So I even emailed them and everything else. But then when it all kicked off, and it all come out that Ems was lying about being a therapist, I was outraged. I was thinking, oh my God, I even got sucked in by it. I was telling them things about my life that I wouldn't tell anyone, my worst enemy. And things things inside here. I was thinking, and she's been fooling these people and she's not a real therapist. That's disgusting. I was outraged. So I think there was a girl called Hannah C at the time. Me and her went on a rampage, and I remember arguing with her on Twitter. It was all on Twitter. This argument was on Twitter. And I remember me and Hannah was arguing with her. She was like very passive aggressive. I am a therapist. I blah blah blah. I went, you're not. I went, look, don't lie. If you're gonna just be honest, and then Megxit. That was when Megxit was divided, because Taz was such a big content creator. Taz was friends with Murky Meg and Wally quite a lot, but then when it came out about Ems, Taz, Wally and Murky Meg was divided by this Ems. Murky, however, sided with Ems for some reason. I don't know why. And Wally was Taz's cheerleader. Wally tried to be a bit diplomatic in one of her videos, I think it was, and then Murky Meg put out a statement on Instagram about saying that she didn't give Wally permission to talk blah 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 and all that. But Wally still talks about Murky Meg now. She talks about Wally gives her opinion. It's not talking about people. She gives her opinion on Megxit and what's going on in Megxit. But the group was then divided, and catastrophically divided. And it was all because of this one person, Ems. She'd infiltrated the group and she'd split the main players up. And I didn't like that because it's very unsettling for me, being a little fish in a big pond. And I couldn't believe, like, Murky had almost 1,000 subscribers. Taz had almost 1,000 subscribers. Not 1,000, 100,000 rather. Wally had nearly 50,000 subscribers. I was like, wow, that is amazing. And then when we had Boozy come on the scene, oh God, he was a card, weren't he? Oh, and his little reports, as Wally would say, with his crowns and his diagrams. I'm in one of his reports as well. But I was upset with Ems because she divided our group. We was also close-knit and tight. I used to speak to Murky in DMs, Taz in DMs. I had given Wally my telephone number. So me and Wally chat on WhatsApp. But Ems divided the group but Taz thought Ems was her friend. They were friends. But Taz had no idea about the therapy certificate being fake. And I naturally, my mama bear instinct came out for Taz, and I was very similar to Wally. I was defending Taz. But I also got blocked by a lot of people because of me defending Taz. I got blocked by Salty Duchess. She's still a big YouTuber. No, not huge. She's still on Twitter, but she blocked me on Twitter because I supported Taz, and Salty went with Murky and with Ems. I have no idea whether Murky Meg and Ems still talk, and Salty Duchess, I have no idea. Because then Murky had some problems with her health and she disappeared for a little while, didn't she? But Salty Duchess blocked me on Twitter, but she was following me on Getter. And so but everything I posted on Twitter, I would also post on Getter, because that was where Wally was. I was following Wally from every social media platform going. And then when she lost her first YouTube channel, I was just gutted for her. Absolutely gutted. I felt her pain. It hurt me just like it hurt her. But Taz now, she's in a different league to everybody, isn't she? Look at 180,000 subscribers. She's up there with the big guns now. She's doing so well. I'm so proud of her though, because I still enjoy Taz's videos. I like her sarcasm. We have a very similar. I'm sarcastic as well, and I like her sarcasm in her videos. Subtle sarcasm, but effective sarcasm. And Taz is one of my favourite YouTubers of all time, and I will never stop watching her videos, never in a million years. But, rounding this up, because this is nearly an hour and a half. I've waffled on for an hour and a half to you all. God help me. So, cutting a long story short, I've now started to post videos on here properly, and I'm taking advice in the comments on what to do differently, what I'm doing wrong, what the audience want, what they don't want. But at the end of the day, this is also my channel, and it will be my way. My way or the highway. So, if I talk about Wally or Taz or Murky Meg or something else I find out, I will give full credit to the person I nicked it from. In other words, I stole it from. The Royal Grift I like as well. And Keeping New York City Mega Trash Free was the one who made them bloody cartoon videos about Wally. They were hilarious. I've saved all of them as well. Literally, I've got I haven't got as much data as what Wally's got, but the things that I used to make me laugh was chopping the tomatoes in the kitchen. That was hilarious. And things like that. The editing side of a video is what I'm gonna struggle with. So any advice or help on, so I've got a Samsung phone, any app, video editing app that I can use for a Samsung. I think Taz has got an iPhone and but I take all advice on board, and I adapt my videos to what people want to listen to. Because if I'm not interested and you don't want to listen to me, you're going to switch off after 10 minutes. So let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. You all take care. Much love.